we would like to introduce Marco Dow, Director of Student Engagement and Leadership Development, who will introduce our performers and organizations. Mr. Dow was raised by grandparents who instilled in him a great respect for those who teach in America's schools and colleges. After receiving a Bachelor's of Science from Concord University in 1984, he was a resident director and football coach at West Virginia State College from 1987 to 1989. In 1989, he pursued his master's degree in college student personnel at the University of Maryland, College Park, and was hired at the Stamp Student Union in charge of programming and events. Prior to coming to CSUMB, Mr. Dow was the Director of Student Life at CSU Dominguez Hills for 14 years and the Associate Director of Housing for his last 2 years there. Let's give a warm welcome to Mr. Dow.
Good evening. Thank you, Tamara. I am excited to introduce the Rho Beta Brothers of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity, Incorporated. They are part of an organization dedicated to achievement in every field of human endeavor. Founded in 1911 by 10 prestigious men, they have sought to mentor and enhance the lives of young men everywhere, regardless of race, creed, or religion. Please give it up for Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated.
Yo, baby, yo, baby, yo! 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 Ha ha hi! Ha ha hi! Ha ha hi! Ha ha hi! Hey, hey, sorry!
Thank you very much. Now that we got y'all attention, oh, there it is on the ground. I like being a little loud. Can y'all hear me? No? All right. I'll be, shoot, I got y'all. I'll be even louder. So, first things first, we want to welcome y'all to the All Black Gala. It's a wondrous event. It truly is. My name is Noah Thompson. This is Zell Gradington. And we are the Rho Beta Brothers of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated.
That was kind of light there, Noah.
Yeah, maybe I did it wrong.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe you got to run that back.
Yeah, let me run that back.
Run it back.
Give him a second chance, right? First things first. My name is Noah Thompson, KKA Big Brother Socrates, and this is
Zell Gradington, KKA Big Brother Compose.
And we are the Rho Beta Brothers of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated.
That you know, that's more like it.
It was a little better, but it sounds like they still kind of don't know us.
I don't think they know us, bro.
Which is crazy because I'm like their favorite noob.
You their favorite? Come again?
Yeah, I'm their favorite noob.
You their favorite noob?
I'm their favorite noob.
Nah, I think I am.
Nah, it's impossible because I could prove it. I'm her favorite noob. I'm her favorite noob. I'm her favorite noob. And I'm my favorite noob.
Okay. All right, well, I'll do you one better.
All right.
You see them in the back?
Wait, what about him right here? What about him right here? Right here?
Right there.
And a turtleneck? Black turtleneck with her right there?
Yep. I'm his girl favorite
You
noob.
his girl favorite noob?
Yes,
Woo.
sir.
Shoot, that's crazy. That's such a crazy coincidence. Because you see him right there? That man right there in the turtleneck order?
That him right there?
Yeah, him right there.
Yeah, I see
Right
him.
there, the one recording us?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm his mama favorite noob.
Damn. All right. Hold on. He get him back.
I ain't trying to be mean to you, bro, but tell your mama what's up. But I told you, I'm that noob. And I'll prove it to you.
Prove it.
I'll show you who I am. I'm a pretty boy. I am the P-R-E, T-T-Y, I am the... Oh! Hold on to what?
I thought I told you I was that noob.
I just told you I was the noob. It's in the song, bro.
It don't matter. That's me.
That's you?
Yes.
All right, I'll set you off. I'll set you off the same song. He is that P-R-E-T-T-Y, pretty boy incorporator, K-A-S-I. He is that noob. I still think I'm that noob.
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you.
I'm not 100% sure, but it don't matter. We still them noobs.
We still clean.
We still the best noobs on this side and the other
We
side.
still fresh.
But from what it sounds like, they still don't know who we are, which is crazy, right?
They don't know us.
They really don't know.
They don't know Ro Beta.
They don't know no Robator. So I guess we got to show them who the pretty boys are.
Let's show them, bro.
We are those people. We are them. We are so far. We run this year. I told you I'm that noob.
Yeah, I give it to him. I give it to him.
Well, I'm that noob. All right. We're going to stop playing around with y'all. We're going to do that. Yeah, I'm sorry. We play around too much. We try to be fun. We are those people. We are them. We are so fly. We run this yard until we die. We are the people. Ow, ow, ow. Thank you. And to all y'all lovely ladies, y'all know us as the R&B Noobs of K-A-S-I. Thank y'all for the warm reception. It's a lot warmer out here than when we used to practice. Let me get a breath or two. But now that y'all seen a little bit about us, right? They seen a little bit about us. They saw a step. They're about to see a stroll. But I don't think they know anything about us.
It's time to take them back.
Shoot, I got them. I stay with the history. You know why they call me Socrates?
Guess you got to show them. Preach, brother.
So on Thursday, January 5th, 1911, on the campus of Indiana University, Bloomington, Indiana, 10 young achievers came across with one common goal. Shoot, what was that goal again?
Achievement in every field of human endeavor.
Yeah, achievement in every field of human endeavor, no matter what we did. And they sure did achieve. Because what y'all may not know about Bloomington is that it was right next to the KKK headquarters. What y'all may not know about our founders is that all sorts of racism they had to go through. They didn't have the choice. Our founders weren't allowed into the classrooms, so they had to study outside of class and maintain the same grades. Our founders, regardless of them playing track or not, were given no respect on the field. Our founders, no matter on any of their accomplishment, were given no respect by those around them. So they chose to achieve so brightly that no matter what they do throughout time, they'll always be seen. And all of us noobs do the exact same. Because I can promise y'all know about Kareem. I can promise y'all know about Cedric. I can promise y'all know about Cochran. Shoot, some people still mad about OJ today. And I can promise y'all know about Kaepernick. Shoot, I just saw him yesterday. But y'all may not know about us, and that's okay. Not everyone go here. So let's introduce our achievements a little bit. So first things first, we have run the mark on anything that we could at this campus. We have aimed and strove to be the first, the brightest, the best, and the bar for anyone entering this campus, because we know when it comes to Black lives, when it comes to anyone's lives, that we have to achieve so everyone else can. So we are here to show you that we achievers. But I really don't think y'all convinced. I don't think anybody's convinced. Shoot. But I really don't know how to convince them.
You know what? I got an idea, Noah.
What's your idea?
How about you? Give your program, give to somebody in the audience, and they dictate how we run the program.
My program?
Your program.
You must be crazy.
Not
Give her
today.
my program?
Give me your program.
You sure about this?
Positive.
All right. I trust your word. So this is what I'm going to do. I keep my program in my back pocket so I never forget. So what I'm going to let y'all do, I'm going to let y'all choose the music. I'm going to let y'all choose the steps. I'm going to let y'all choose what steps we do and what time we do them at. All you got to do is shout out into the crowd. We hear it, and we're going to do it. And I promise you, it's going to look fire. Promise. So real question is, who won it? Who think y'all can test the noobs? I think she a little closer. I'm sorry for the ones in the back, but it seems like she won it. Oh, come here, come here. What's your name? Cheyenne? Cheyenne what? Cheyenne Ford? I bet. Before I give you this program, actually, I'll hand this to you right now. Cover it up. Don't let anyone see it. It's secret material. But what song do you want?
Let's take it back and do Computer Love.
Shoot, I love Computer Love. Y'all got that? Y'all got that on your records? Shoot, we gonna pop that up real quick for you, and I'll tell you when to start.
Is that Boosie?
He's trying to perk the crowd. Hold on. Boosie, we can't teach you the cap dance.
I just don't know why y'all steps on.
Yeah, why we down on steps so we can't teach you the cap dance, bro. I'm sorry, we can't do
Oh,
that.
y'all gotta teach me how to do things.
I
Can't teach you, Boosie. Where's he at?
But I mean, what I can teach you is I can teach you Wipe Me Down. This is a funky song. This is different. We got a different stroke to this. But I'll teach y'all Wipe Me Down, Boosie. Yeah, I'll teach y'all how to dance. We'll show you how to do Wipe Me Down, and I got y'all. If any noobs in the area, we would like y'all to come to the stage and help us out. Trevor.
They came out for an encore. One more round of applause for the Kappas. Thank you for your performance. I would now like to bring to the stage Ms. Janessa Fields of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated to provide a brief introduction and share out about their organization.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Janessa Fields. I'm the Vice President of the Upsilon Epsilon chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. So I just wanted to provide a brief history of the organization as a whole and the organization on this campus. So Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated was founded on Wednesday, January 15th, 1908, on the campus of Howard University in Washington, D.C. We were chartered here on April 16, 2017 by the 12 Immaculate Pearls. This past January, we just celebrated 112 years of sisterhood and service to all mankind. So we're very proud to have had such a long legacy of sisterhood, service, and whatever else we have had to offer to everyone here and to everyone as a whole. I just wanted to highlight some events that we will be having in the coming weeks, months of this semester. We will be having a Pink Goes Red event tomorrow at 11:30 to 1 p.m. in the Student Center, so you can come by and learn about heart-healthy activities to keep your heart pumping and stay healthy. On February 17th from 5:30 to 6:30, we will be having a HBCU game night to learn about HBCU history and everything that they've contributed to the history of this country. And that's all I have for you tonight. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. AKAs. I love my AKAs. Finally, I am excited to introduce Mr. Christopher Siders. Christopher Siders is a poet, activist, music producer, and playwright from Los Angeles, California. He graduated from here, Cal State Monterey Bay, with a BA in Human Communications, with a concentration on creative writing and social action. Siders has been involved with theater and acting as an undergraduate since 2012. He directed the Mending monologues in spring of 2013. He has also directed A Race Through Time in spring 2017. Between 2013 to 2017, he was cast member for various productions such as Almost, Maine, Check Please. Siders has professionally performed spoken word at Dominican University, Stanford University, and more. As an activist, he was on the front lines as an ally fighting for gender equality and feminism in 2011 to 2018. For 2 years, 2015 to 2017, Siders conducted feminism workshops at Soledad Correctional Facility. Currently, Chris is scheduled to perform in Switzerland this June with his music group, Shadows of Society. He is also scheduled to perform at an LGBTQ+ conference in Canada this summer. Look for his new book, Something About September. It will be released later this month. Please welcome Mr. Christopher Siders.
How we doing tonight? All right. So in 2015, the activists on campus organized a protest involving this shirt. And as you can see, it says high power with 3 fingers up. So what I want everybody to do right now, we're gonna relive this. So I need everybody to put 3 fingers up. Heart, respect, honor. And we're gonna do some affirmations right now. So I need everybody to repeat after me. I love myself. I respect myself. I love myself. I respect myself. Thank you. So now I'm going to perform 3 original pieces that I've written, and yeah, so I hope you enjoy. This first piece is called Die Daily, inspired by the words of Cornel West. Rumbling Angeles lost. Activists running, trust no accomplice, or ops playing opposites, attract accomplishments of group thinking anarchists that gave masses a kiss after death with no respect. My loved one's graves filled with piss. Just a mortal man that convex, complex, shy of a grizzly. Don't read into complex, just drink some tea. Fear spending my career in songs, wondering if they forgive me. Mending through monologues, toxic master downfall, resist and resolve it with hatred for enemies I call so hard. I don't know where I been before. The 9th of 29th of 93, 4453 West on 161st. Slim had the caddy chucking big B's. Jose just got out of prison searching for peace within his kids. I held a temper. For women due to their light skin preference, realized I was queer as a light freshman. Pops, colon cancer, Elijah death got me restless. Can't look at my crushed eyes because of judgments. What can I say, being falsely accused of sexual harassment? People don't understand the freaking meaning of past tense. Now I hold on to trauma like an abused lover. Stalk at home, sending listeners domes. Oh, yeah, me too. I was sexually assaulted by a man and a woman during the time I was homeless. Put that ish back in reverse, so positivity is what I focus. 4th year of school, drugs is what I use to cope with my depression. Since when was the last time you seen a black man painted in a light perception? Also, given the fact I almost took a life with my bare hands at 13, it's just something I can't comprehend. Hence why my guards is always up with every romantic interest. Processing affection is a slow burn, so usher me into your kisses, because I'm a predator standing next to Clinton. Life is only about, used to thinking life is only about being a blood or a crip. Boil your brains on the semen for talking that madness, ducking behind my uncle's couch. During the drive-by shooting, I seen spirits in bullet holes, survival's remorse hits home from Monterey, being pinned as a criminal to a local hero. Now human, I stand. That's the first piece. This next piece is dedicated to CSU and B. So, I hope you all enjoy this one. God fed us breadcrumbs to live off a minimum? Rent sin off a black skin to be a white's him? Corinthians missing off of 66 virgins? Mary Poppins still claims to be a virgin? Mobile steering with Noah drunk? All powers in red rum? Eve remains unsung in the patriarch? While homophobia rise from the graveyard? I'll be tired, y'all. I'll be tired, y'all. Seeing the same demons behind different faces, anger issues with happiness while I chase it. Down these dark tunnels, echoing that crash talk. 21 floating savages hold red balloons, fear exhaust. How much it costs? How much it costs? Here's some tokens for some wise thoughts eating away your innocence. Dancing kings sing some horrors, making it hard to be vulnerable in this minstrel. White folks don't get Ivan Illich playing victim with good intentions. Admittedly done that amongst my male privilege. Attempting to rinse the tears off the blood of my sacrifices. Riper than the fiction, strange drip fruition at the root of you, us as children. Hands buried, raising drunken fate. Staggering diddy bops across Johnny's plank. Double D's in a fight club holding threes. Jaw-breaking bad greed and lust for 25 cents. An extra quarter get you many men dying of paranoia. Ripping off the wings of Macklemore vultures. Black boy fly no matter how controversial. Every time I've been in love, I ain't never been sober. Too hard to comprehend infliction and realize my enemies is human. Therefore underestimating the necessities of forgiving me. Too afraid to be in love, too afraid to be vulnerable with my mother, my father, my sister, my brothers, too afraid to burn these bridges and use these ashes for comfort, but I'm never too afraid to bring the ruckus when my name is spoken. Too afraid to change, too much of the same. As a groundhog inferior to mountaintops, I died off. Caution as an imposter to sin and roam. And feminist ideology, the toxicity of my intimacy reeks of BET uncut. And holding Caulfield's tip drills of fetishizing conversations of the mud. Hope to be escorted to a different place amongst the touch that will soon be mistrusted by this black man, because time and time again, this world has not shown where I belong, aside from entertainment, where I pimp my soul for the relation to yours. It's the same old shit with these populace of pigeons. Ignore community mental illness, stem from executive orders in a vicious cycle where professors struggle, underpaid, and students hustle 9 to 5 plus full-time out of a car with stomachs rumbling next to a grave. No rest for the wicked, digging up buried bones above the base of Fort Ord. I cage the elephants amidst virtue signaling activists that lack empathy, attack the act of change and correlate with canceling. Some say spaces turn to leaders' hubs, deny black men from flourishing beyond imagination. I just hope admins see color in the Pleasantville being created. Change the campus vision statement from under our nose, no longer to serve low-income families that dream, strip away the uniqueness that made CSUMB and replace it with a soulless business trope, take away programs to be considered normal. This innovation you speak of non-existent, blue pills prescribed. 1 tablet to focus on fabulous beaches, 2 tablets to glitch out manipulating hotel meetings. My little homies look up to me, so I gotta speak it. Within rhyme and reasoning, question of being an alumni from here is something worth treasuring. I found gold in troubled souls that roamed the catacombs for indigo in a home. I returned here for 7 days last fall and heard of 2 suicides or overdose and witnessed a student get hauled off in the back of an ambulance truck. When are we gonna admit that silence is killing us? I'm merely shedding tears from the eye of my storm. If all you see is a violent river, you're missing the source. 1 mic to broadcast through your radio domes among the moon-shaped pool, reflecting rainbows, hailing thieves of carpe diem. Racial discrimination since 2002, we kept the broken pieces. Fear, sharp bleeding, sue for millions. A black woman was called the N-word in 2010. Students mobilized against racism, and the following year, my professor used my skin color as a genetic makeup lesson. Sending the same message Willie Lynch theorized in some minds of UPD Marina Seaside Police. Profiling, driving while black, walking on the wrong side of the tracks. This university isn't as inclusive as we dreamt to be. As a matter of fact, it's time to talk about rape culture and how it affects the black community. I feel for my friends that have been beaten and raped, and when I was homeless in 2017, a woman attempted to stick her fingers inside me. A man groped my genitals while working in the campus bookstore. I didn't make any sudden moves not to come off as the aggressor. But I've been too pressed to stay quiet. I've been too afraid of becoming a bigger target. So I've written this poem for you to conquer your own silence. Thank you. All right, last poem. To the country that never loved me. My family was buried underneath southern leaves, told stories with rusted shackles and plantation seeds. While blossoming piles of strange fruit, they broke the hymen from my mother's vagina and confused identities by twisting roots. But we ought the penis masters use to rape our fathers and consume the dim spirits of sons too, do forced incest, birth the term motherfucker on a cold-bloody spinner platform where infants are deceased upon arrival. 124 was spiteful, ripping apart the sheer purple fabric, making it difficult to navigate through plaid patterns made by eugenics, then take 2/5 of our melanin for their own entertainment. This is the birth of our nation. So, all right, that was my last poem. One more time for the one time. I need everybody to put up the threes. Repeat after me once again. I love myself. I respect myself. Thank you.
Thank you again, Chris, for that wonderful performance. Hello again. Welcome to the 2020 All Black Gala. I'm Brian Corpenning, Associate Vice President for Inclusive Excellence and Chief Diversity Officer.
Good evening. My name is Tamara Gallery. I'm the Otter Events Chair of the Otter Student Union Programming Board. Thank you. Before we move forward with the rest of the program, we want to acknowledge that California State University, Monterey Bay, resides on the homeland of the Esalen people. It is on the rich homeland of the Esalen people who CSUMB not only thrives as an institution of higher education, but also provides an education abundant with service and experience to a diverse community of learners. As our students, staff, faculty, alumni, and community members explore the university's campus, remember to respect the land and take note of the natural beauty. Remember that ancestors rest below pathways and in other less traveled areas on campus. To set the tone for the night, we have a short video we'd like to share with you all. I hope you enjoy it.
I'm telling y'all already. But just like life. All right. Air Jordan ready to take off.
Speaking of history makers, we hope you have enjoyed the Black History and Art exhibition playing on the digital screens in the lobby and the living room. A special thanks to Dr. Stephanie Johnson, professor and VPA founding faculty member, for curating and creating this digital exhibition. Eduardo M. Ochoa has been president of Cal State University, Monterey Bay since 2012. He has worked for over 30 years as a faculty member and administrator at campuses in the Cal State system. At Sonoma State, he served as provost and vice president for academic affairs from 2003 to 2010. From 2010 to 2012, he was assistant secretary for post-secondary education in the Obama administration, acting as the chief advisor on higher education matters to the Secretary of Education. A native of Argentina, Dr. Ochoa has a BA in physics and philosophy from Reed College. a MS in Nuclear Science and Engineering from Columbia University, and a PhD in Economics from the New School for Social Research. Please welcome President Eduardo Ochoa to the stage.
Thank you for that kind introduction. Good evening. As you just heard, my name is Eduardo Ochoa, and it is my honor and privilege to serve as president of California State University, Monterey Bay. I am pleased to be with you all tonight to celebrate our 4th annual All Black Gala. All Black Gala is a celebration of Black history and the multifaceted diversity of Black culture and accomplishment. This year's theme is Still I Rise, reclaiming our stories and seizing our futures. Our keynote speaker, Kevin Wilmot, has written films that speak to this theme, such as the Academy Award winner, Black Klansman. In our founding vision statement, CSUMB speaks to this theme as well, seeking to produce graduates who understand interdependence, the impact of the past, present, and future on societal contexts, and the social responsibility and skills to be community builders. CSUMB is committed to supporting our students, faculty, and staff as they reclaim their stories and seize their futures. Be sure to join us next weekend at our Super Saturday as we work to support the preparation and graduation of our African American students. Thank you.
Thank you, President Ochoa, for your remarks. Now, would you please stand as able as we welcome the CSUMB Gospel Choir as they lead us in the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice. The lyrics are in the program for you all to sing along. The CSUMB Gospel Choir was originally founded in 1994 under the direction of Professor Paulette Jerzendaner, along Professor Carlos A. Tatris, then a student/accompanist at CSUMB, who later returned and became the choir's new director upon completing his Master of Music degree at NMSU. The Gospel Choir studies the performance, practice, and historical evolution of contemporary Black gospel music in America. The Gospel Choir has and continues performing as a featured ensemble at the Music and Performing Arts annual winter and spring concerts, local concert events, and other CSUMB and BSU programmings.
Every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea.
Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
Thank you. You may be seated. How many church folks I got out there? All right. Y'all gonna work with me? Talking about I rise. So this song says the best is yet to come. Are you gonna sing it with us? All right. Come on, play that track, please. Yeah. Come on and rock with us. Right in your seats. Yeah, there you go.
Hold on, my brother, don't give up. Hold on, my sister, just look up. There is a master plan in store for you. If you just make it through, God's gonna really blow your mind. He's gonna make it worth your time. For all of the troubles you've been through, the blessings double just for you. The best is yet to go. Hold on, my brother, don't give up. Hold on, my sister, just look up. There is a master plan in store for you. If you just make it through, God's gonna really blow your mind. He's gonna make it worth your time. For all of the troubles you've been through, the blessing double just for you. The best,
Let me hear you say it.
is yet to come to go. The best,
Yeah.
the best is yet to go. Today is the first day of the best days of your life. Today is the first day of the best days of your life. Today is the first day of the best days of your life.
You say it.
The best is yet
To what?
to go.
The best.
The best.
Yeah.
The best is yet to go.
Oh, come on, rock with us. Get up, 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 get up. Don't sit on them. No. Yeah, 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 That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. You ain't seen nothing.
You ain't seen nothing. You ain't seen nothing yet. You ain't seen nothing. You ain't seen nothing yet. You ain't seen nothing.
Let us give it up to the gospel choir one more time. All right. I also want to recognize a colleague who would have been here tonight, Dr. Ronnie Higgs, who would have given you a welcome. So let us keep him in our prayers and his family in our. We are honored to be involved with the Black Gala, and welcome to tonight's event.
Now, I have the pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker for this evening. Kevin Wilmot is an Oscar award-winning filmmaker who has written and directed 6 feature films and numerous documentaries. The feature films include 9th Street, CSA, Confederate States of America, The Only Good Indian, The Battle for Bunker Hill, Destination Planet Negro, and Jayhawkers. Most recently, he co-wrote the award-winning Black Klansman and the soon-to-be-released The 5 Blocks with Spike Lee. As well, he just completed the 24th about the Houston riot of 1917, which will have its world premiere at the 2020 South by Southwest Film Festival. He is a published playwright and works as an activist for peace and civil rights issues. He is a graduate of Marymount College of Kansas and NYU's Tisch School of the Arts. He is a professor in the Film and Music and Media Studies Department at the University of Kansas. Please extend a warm welcome to Kevin Wilmot.
How y'all doing tonight? Good, 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 man. I'm gonna give it up to, where's Chris at? Is Chris still here? Man, that brother can get down. Give Chris a hand. Man, that's beautiful, brother. That's beautiful. That takes a lot of courage. That's what it's all about. I love, first of all, thank you for inviting me. I live in Kansas, and so coming to California in February is a beautiful thing. Especially Monterey. Boy, this Monterey Bay area you got, man, my God, this is like God's country, right? Woo! I'm not in Kansas anymore, right? That was just too easy, wasn't it? It was just kind of sitting there. Well, thank you guys very much for inviting me. This is, it's wonderful to see all your beautiful faces out there tonight. The theme of your event I thought was really, really beautiful theme. And the films I've tried to make have really tried to really embrace those ideas of rising up, of kind of embracing your narrative and reclaiming your narrative and reclaiming your history. That's such an important part of, I think, American life, and really a big part of what it means to be an African American, and really whatever race you are, because every race in the country has a history and a heritage that has, in some way or another, has been attempted to just be destroyed. And so the fact that we have survived, the fact that we are now in a position maybe to reclaim it and to celebrate it in a new way, a new important way, it's very, very important. I thought I would share with you kind of some of my films, some of the things about my films and some of my life that involve some of these themes. I grew up in a small town in Kansas called Junction City, Kansas. It's quite a bit like Seaside, if I believe, because it was an army town. Wasn't Seaside an army town? Yeah, so army towns is what's happening, y'all. Yeah, I mean, it's like in my neighborhood, I grew up in a little small town in Kansas, about 20,000 people. On my block, it was the most diverse group of people probably in the world. And that only happens in an army town. On my block, there was a white family lived across the street from us, and next to them was a black family, and next to them was a black and German family, And next to them was a black and Italian family. And next to them was a black and Korean family. And next to them was a black and Vietnamese family. And next to them was a black and Filipino family. And next to them was a black and Vietnamese family. And next to them was a black and Jewish family. And next to them was a black and Mexican family. And that was just one block in a small Kansas town. And the Buffalo Soldiers were in Junction City. They were in Fort Riley, the big red one, the 9th and 10th Cavalry Division. That was the Buffalo Soldiers. They were in Junction City. So I grew up, my neighborhood was the Buffalo Soldiers. And so they went all over the world, and they brought wives home from all over the world, and they were in my little block. And it taught me that race matters and race doesn't matter at all. And it's that dichotomy that is the real struggle about being an American, because race matters because you got to be proud of who you are. You got to know who you are. You got to be willing to fight for who you are. You got to see where you're going and know where you've been. And at the same time, that block of all us kids just doing our thing taught us that race didn't matter at all, because we just kids trying to go somewhere. And that's that dichotomy that you always have to kind of be aware of, to be proud of who you are, to know who you are, to know where you're going, but at the same time, don't let race get in the way of things. And that's the tough thing about American life, because the best thing about racism, the very, very, very best thing about racism, and it's a racist, horrible country right now, right? It's a racist, horrible country right now. The best thing about racism is you get to overcome it. That's the best thing about it. The best thing about it is you get to overcome it. And each one of us, you wouldn't be sitting here if you hadn't overcome it in some way. Everybody has overcome it. Your ancestors overcame it. They survived that slave ship. They survived segregation. They survived all those things that were designed to destroy you and your family, and you're still here. And knowing that is that thing that keeps you going. Knowing that is that thing that makes you get up in the morning and understand whatever faces you in that day, you can overcome it. Your ancestors overcame it, and you can overcome it. You know, the question becomes, how does a Kansas poor boy become an Oscar winner? Right? How the hell does that happen? And I still live in Kansas. How the hell does that happen? Well, you know, the thing is that I stayed connected to who I was. And I stayed connected to the stories I wanted to tell, because those were the stories that were important to me. And when I first started trying to work for Hollywood, I sold a script on John Brown the abolitionist. And John Brown was hung with another slave by the name of Shields Green. And I told that story from the point of view of Shields Green. So to understand John Brown, you got to understand it from the point of view of a slave. So so people always say, you know, John Brown was crazy. John Brown is crazy, but no one ever calls slave owners crazy. So I sold this script to 20th Century Fox. It was called Shields Green and the Gospel of John Brown. And this was like 25 years ago. And Denzel read it and wanted to play Shields Green. Wow. And Denzel only had one Oscar then. So he was still kind of a little guy. And Paul Newman, they wanted Paul Newman to play John Brown, but Paul Newman wouldn't work for Rupert Murdoch, which I don't blame him. And so they never found someone to play John Brown, so the movie was never made. But it taught me that if I just stayed with this, I could maybe tell these stories that even Hollywood, even when they bought the script, they still didn't want to tell. And so I made this film called CSA, Confederate States of America. Thank you. And CSA is about what happens when the South wins the Civil War. Yeah, whoa. And I remember as I was writing that movie, and I was telling people, see, yeah, I'm gonna make this movie about the South winning the Civil War. I say, hey man, Kev, man, they gonna hate you, brother. People gonna hate you, man. You're gonna get hate mail for that. And I did get hate mail for it. And I'll tell you a quick little Hollywood story. So in Hollywood, no one knows anything. And what that really means is this. So when I finished the film, CSA, I sent it to my agent. My agent said, so what do you want me to do with this? So, okay. So next week, I got accepted into Sundance, and my agent said, Kevin, you're a genius. And that's all you need to know about Hollywood, because they didn't, before it was in Sundance, they didn't like it, but the minute somebody else liked it, I was a genius. And so no one knows anything, and so everyone's all waiting for someone to tell them what they know. And so that taught me that I had to just do my thing. And so that film it got me a new agent, of course. It got me a new agent, and Spike Lee had the same agent. And so Spike came in the office, and he heard about the film, and he said, hey, man, I'd like to see, your film. So the agent said, would you like to have Spike see the film? I said, yeah, let Spike see the film. So that's how I met Spike, and he presented the film. So it's presented by Spike Lee. And when I made that film, that's how I met Spike. So the thing that I shouldn't have done is the thing that probably gave me my biggest break. And so when I made that film, the thing I learned from making that film was that we still live in the CSA. That the CSA won the Civil War. We think the USA won, but really it's kind of been a little bit of both. It's like the CSA is still alive and well in America. And the CSA is the Confederate States of America, for y'all that ain't history nerds like me. The CSA is the Confederate States of America, and there have always really been two countries in America. There's been the USA, and there's been the CSA. And the USA is the country that expands freedom. So we had 8 years of the USA with President Obama. We had 8 years. So we're going to bring the gay folks in. Come on in, gay folks. This is your country, too. We're going to bring immigrants in. Come on in, immigrants. This is your country, too. We're going to bring women in. Yeah, give women some positions they need, they deserve. Open that stuff up. So the USA expands freedom, and the CSA limits freedom. Now we live in the CSA. And the CSA is the mentality of the slave owner. It is the owner who wants to control everything because he knows he can benefit from reducing freedom, right? And he has reduced freedom in this country. So now we are against the immigrant. We are against women. We're against gay folks. We're against transgender folks. We're against all those things that make us really the USA. When that dude came down the escalator, right? Y'all remember that shot where he came down the escalator? The minute he came down the escalator and said, Mexicans are rapists, that should have been it. Over, game over. Should have been over right there. America just said, well, that's it, right? Dude wanted to be president, but he can't call Mexicans rapists. Mexicans are rapists? Really? It's like I'm writing a thing about Frederick Douglass right now for Netflix. And Frederick Douglass is biracial. And his whole life, Frederick Douglass was trying to find out who his father was. And the only thing he knew was that his father might have been one of the two slave owners that owned his mother. And they would never tell him if they were his father or not. So all of the beautiful races out there, all the different shades of black folks in the audience here, that all comes from slavery. Most of it does. And so that's the thing that we've survived, but it's also the thing that we're still fighting against. It is that very thing that makes us who we are, but then continues to kind of give us the challenges that we still face. When the whole thing with the award happened, and when you get to write something like Black Klansman, you're always trying to find little ways of infusing things in the story that really happened to you. And so I'm going to tell you a little quick story. So in high school, I went to a really hip high school, but the principal was one of the most racist guys I'd ever met. And he was jacking folks up pretty bad. And he was, throwing folks out of school. And I was a nerd, nice kid, had good parents. And I'd never been in trouble. But it was hard for me to see all my friends getting jacked up. And that's the problem when you get a conscience, is that you can get in trouble with a conscience, But a conscience is the thing that makes you a human being. And so I was seeing all my friends getting jacked up, getting thrown out of school. And, as you guys probably know, when you get thrown out of school, a lot of folks never came back. So me and some of my buddies, we got together and we said, wait, let's show these suckers. So I created a Molotov cocktail and we was going to blow up a restroom at the high school. Yeah. Am I dumb or what? So of course, I'm in the only hip class in school. I'm in Black History class. And I'm breaking it down in class. Yeah, man, and the black man, Kevin Wilmot come to the office. Kevin Wilmot come to the office. Oh, shoot. Everybody said, oh. So I go in there, and the principal was this dude. I'll say his name because, I need to be honest about these things. His name was Kugler. And yeah, it sounds like a racist name, doesn't it? So Kugler, he's, so he sees me, and we'd had a lot of racial trouble. There'd been a riot in the school. And he said, oh, we finally got you, didn't we? We finally got you. And he started laughing. And then the vice principal came in. He said, do you play sports? I said, no, I don't play sports. And he walked out the room. And I knew then if I had played sports, I would have been a Negro of some worth. But not playing sports, I had nobody to give me a parole. So he laughed at me, the principal laughed at me, and he said, we finally got you, you causing all this trouble. And he threw me out of school, and they said, don't ever come back. So, so I was this nice kid that had never done anything wrong, and here I was out of school and don't come back. So I thought about going to the Army, thought about some other things, but then I worked on this thing called the CETA program. And back in the 70s, when I was a kid, back in the 70s, they used to have things called social programs. And social programs would actually give poor folks a job in the summertime. Hell of a concept, isn't it? And so I got a job on the CETA program, and I worked at a cemetery, and I cut the lawn at the cemetery, and it was a Catholic cemetery. And my boss said, I heard about you getting kicked out, and I'll see if I can get you into this other school. So I got to the Catholic school, and a priest was there. His name was Father Frank Cody. And he loved movies like I love movies, and we became real good friends, and he really forced me to go to college, and that's how I got to college, and that's how I became a professor. So I'll come back to the end of that story in a minute, because it's kind of interesting. So I started out really trying to just make my own films, and trying to make films that really spoke to me in various ways. So I have a movie called Destination Planet Negro. And if you get a chance, it's on Amazon. I made this film for $7,000. And so any of you filmmakers out there trying to do your thing, you can make a movie for $7,000. And I got all my buddies together, and I wrote a script about basically when President Obama became president. I thought to myself, because my parents were older. My father was born in 1898. He was 60 when I was born. So that's just 33 years after slavery, by the way. 33 years. Not my grandfather, that's my father. And I thought about what my parents would have said if they had lived to see Obama become president. Because the joke on the basketball court was always, you play basketball, and Richard Pryor talked about how that's kind of, the basketball court was a good place to find out who you are. Because you play, I knew I wasn't a basketball player, but guys would laugh at my jokes. and my stories. And so I learned I was kind of a storyteller on the basketball court. And one of the jokes that we always had when we talked about a black president, the joke was always, he would like be dead the next day. That was always the joke. Yeah, it's like, yeah, black president, oh man, he'd be dead, right? And so when Obama becomes president, and there's this beautiful man here who becomes president, and his family is black. And it becomes this image that changes the entire trajectory of black life in America. And we had that for 8 years. And every time he walked to the helicopter on the White House, there was 200 years following right behind him. 200 years right behind him. And we had this image for 8 years, and it was the pure USA. It was everything that embodies the best of what this country is. And we saw it, and we all went, man, is this a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing? This is America's going to finally be America. Woo! Beware the backlash. Beware the backlash. Because the backlash always comes with progress. We should have known the backlash was coming, right? We should have known it. We kind of knew it, but it was so great to see it, right? And people talk about, oh, it's going to be a post-racial society. Black folks didn't believe that. Did y'all believe that? No, y'all didn't believe that. But we did love seeing it, though, didn't we? And for a minute, you went like, oh, man. It's like waiting to exhale, right? The national version. So like we all exhaled and it was like, man, it's finally maybe coming true. And then there's the backlash. And the thing that it taught me was that we have to we will always have to be dealing with this. This problem is never going to go away. Even though, when you look at how far we've come, and we've come a long way, and you look at the problems that we still face, and even though we will improve again after this nightmare is over with, but there'll be more nightmares to come, and we will have to overcome them as well. But the thing that this whole exercise tells us is that if we keep steady, if we stay strong, if we embrace our past and embody it and bring it to the future, we will not be defeated. And that's the thing that the Obama 8 years taught us, is that it's possible. It is possible. We can have that America. We had it for about 8 years. And then the backlash came in. The backlash, the best thing for me about the backlash, it's made my movies really hip. I mean, Trump has been, I don't call him Trump, I call him King Tang. Y'all know Tang? Remember Tang, the orange drink? I call him King Tang. King Tang. The thing about this whole nightmare that we're in right now, when we overcome it, we will have to remember to not let our guard down again. That this is a fight we will always be having in various ways. And guess what? That's okay. That's okay. We need to embrace the fact that the fight will always be against us. The fight will always be before us. Because when we overcome it, it's such a great, great, great feeling. I'll tell you the end of the story here now. So I was in my office at KU, and it was, doing my thing. And this guy comes in the office and he says, Kevin, would you teach a class over in the continuing ed department? That's all I think about it. He said, you make these movies, everybody loves you, you're so great. He's really kissing me up. And he said, wait, you're from Junction City, aren't you? I said, yeah, I'm from Junction City. He said, My father was principal of a high school in a very turbulent time in the 1970s. So here is this guy, the son of the man that threw me out of high school, sitting right before me in my office. And I thought to myself, man, I could tear this dude, as my mother used to call it, she said, I could tear his behind whiter than a wagon sheet. I could, and you know what, man? You know what? I didn't do it. Because success is the best revenge. Thank you very much. I thought I could take a few questions from folks out here.
Thank you, Kevin, for your truly inspiring and moving message. We will now move into a question and answer session. There are index cards and pens on your tables. We also have folks in the back who are able to pass out index cards and pens if needed. If you have a question for Kevin Wilmot, please write it down. Individuals will come around and collect your questions. Please note, we may not be able to get to all of your questions, but we greatly appreciate your participation. In the meantime, we had some submitted questions we will ask. What advice would you give to an aspiring filmmaker and/or screenwriter? Is the mic over there?
So, advice I would give to an inspiring filmmaker, screenwriter, I think the thing that I tell my students, and the thing that I kind of told myself as I was trying to move forward with my career, was to really try to tell your story. Really try to find the thing that really kind of speaks to you, that really echoes your voice. Don't try to come up with stories that you think are going to sell, because no one knows what sells. You know, it's really more important that you try to develop the things that you want to say. I always tell my students, you know, they always say, write what you know, but it's also you should write what you believe in. And in writing what you believe in, that really kind of helps you to develop yourself as an artist, as someone. That's why I love what Chris was breaking down, because Chris is writing what not just what he knows, but what he believes in. And when you write what you believe in, I mean, no one can tell you it's not true. No one can tell you that it's not authentic. It clearly comes from a personal thing inside of you. And the thing about writing kind of what you believe in, you know, it's always there. And you've got to find ways, you know, commercial ways of sharing those stories. And that's kind of what the challenge is in many ways. But nevertheless, it's clearly there, and you can do it, you can achieve it. It takes a while. Everybody I know that has gotten a break in the industry, they've stayed in it as long as it took. It's not one of those things that it's like, I'll give this a couple years and then I'll go do something else. If that's how you feel, you should go do that other thing now, because it has to be kind of like a way of life with you. The movies I was making before I got my break, those are things that I really needed to say. There's an old saying with independent film especially, is that you know, at some point when you're trying to make a film, you're going to feel like you're going to die. And that's how hard it is. And if you're not willing to go that far, then it's probably not the right thing for you. And so you got to really be willing to go all the way with those things. And you know, the people we celebrate, the artists we celebrate, that's always been a part of who they are. They've had that never give up spirit. My first film I worked on took me 9 years to make. And I didn't have any money, didn't know what I was doing, did a lot of things right, did a lot of things wrong. And guys would say, man, yeah, man, you know, when I do make my film, man, I'm not going to do it like you, Kevin. Those dudes have never made a film. And so you've got to just believe in yourself. You got to believe in your voice. You got to be willing to listen to others. You got to be willing to listen to criticism. One of the other best pieces of advice, you know, the Hudlin brothers that made the house party movies. I remember I made my first film, and we showed it at Planet Hollywood in New York. And one of the Hudlin brothers was there, and I said, hey, man, so what should I do now? He said, make another film. Best advice I ever got, make another film. And what that means is no matter what you're trying to do in your life, no matter what your thing is, you just keep doing it. And everybody that I know that have succeeded in the film industry or really in life, period, they found what they loved, they found what they believed in, and they kept doing it until they couldn't do it anymore. And that, to me, is the key. Just kind of do your thing and don't look back, right?
All right. What advice would you give to young black men in order to be successful? How can we reach our full potential?
Well, it's that thing I was just talking about. You know, it's hard being a black man, right? I think we all know that. It's gotten harder in some ways because of violence and things in our communities that are taking a lot of our young people's lives. But one thing that I always tell folks, that I had to tell myself a lot, is get away from negative people. I know that sounds so basic. I know that sounds so, but it's harder than it appears, isn't it? You don't want negative voices in your head. You don't want negative people around you. And you get around people that are positive, and you have to sometimes make your own community. I'll say that again. Sometimes you have to make your own community. You have to make your own set of people that is going to speak to you and understand the things that you're talking about, that you believe in, that you're trying to do. Sometimes those people aren't around you. And you have to recognize that. And you have to acknowledge that. And you have to accept that. And guess what? It's okay. It's okay that there are not people around you. And don't go down the hole with those people. If you got to leave that group and go somewhere else and get around some other folks, some other positive people, do that. If you got to go find your friend that you know is positive like you and is stuck in that hole, get that dude out of there and team up with him, and y'all try to do something together. But don't let the hole drag you in, because, you know, Satchel Paige said, never look back. And that doesn't mean that we don't love the community. But, you know, it's that thing on the airplane. Put your mask on first before you put it on your child. Right? Because if you don't put it on first, you're not in the plane knocked out, you know, because you didn't get no oxygen, and the plane, and your child's going, what's going on? So put your mask on first and then help those around you. And I know it sounds a little selfish, but actually it's not. It's just smart. And it doesn't mean you don't love the community, but you failing does not help the community. Mm-hmm. You succeeding helps the community. When you succeed and you have the tools and the ability, you can always go back and help folks the best way you can. But when you're trying to succeed yourself, make sure to to succeed the best you can.
Thank you. Was there a part of your life story that you incorporated into Black Klansman?
So my generation of folks, I grew up in a small town in Kansas, but I think most folks my generation had this experience. Black Klansman is a crazy movie, all right? So in Black Klansman, there is two Ron Stallworths. There's a white Ron Stallworth and a black Ron Stallworth, right? How many of y'all seen the movie? Oh, good. Thank y'all. Y'all paid my rent, let me tell you. Thank y'all. Thank y'all very much, So there's this white Ron Stallworth and black Ron Stallworth, and David Duke is on the phone with black Ron Stallworth, who's acting like he's a Klansman too, right? And so there's a scene in Black Klansman where he's on the phone with David Duke, and David Duke is talking about this black mammy he had as a kid that he loved so much, this black woman that worked in their house. And so black Ron Stallworth on the phone is kind of pretending to be racist and fooling him. But then it gets real personal. And so black Ron Stallworth starts to say, there was this, when I was a kid, he's pretending to be white, talking to Duke, but he tells a story about when he was a kid that he was over a black friend's house, and his dad came home, and his dad saw him playing with this black kid, and his dad said, not to play with those N-words, right? And David Duke, of course, loves it and says your dad is a great man and so forth. Well, the reverse of that happened to me. I was over a white buddy's house in 5th grade. His mother came home. She said, "What's that nigger doing here?" And my white buddy and I, we when you're kids, you look at each other, and I knew, it was just when I was coming into my black thing, and I was really starting to understand what it meant to be black, and I really felt sorry for him. And I think that happened to most black people of my generation, because we started to go over white people's homes, and we had interactions with white families that had not happened really before in the way it was happening at that time. And so racist things would be said. And usually your friend would have to be horribly embarrassed by it. So I flipped it in the movie, but that thing and you can tell on John David Washington's face when he's telling that story that he's actually telling a story about himself, not the reverse story that he's actually telling.
Thank you. I am a young woman who has been fearless and vocal about making a change. If I want to become a speaker one day, how should I go about that?
Well, I think, a big part of life, especially when you're in school, and for me, when I finally got to go to college and seeing this tonight, it always reminds me of how I found myself when I was in college. And what I mean by that is college is a place where you get to discover yourself, and you get to kind of find your voice. And it is the thing that's the best thing about college, is that you need to come to college with an agenda for yourself as much as you can. And there's things that you'll discover while you're in school that you can't plan for. So that thing about being a speaker, what you really are saying is, how do you find that thing that makes you yourself? How do you find your voice? So the thing I would say is, find out what you believe in. Find out what pisses you off. Find out what you're willing to fight for. Find out kind of how you would do it. And when you find out what you believe in, you also end up also finding out how you would do it. When I was in school, I got to be president of the student body, and I got to do things that really kind of empowered me. And so when I graduated, I went back home, and a little story here. When I was on the CETA program, my boss was a firefighter, and one day he took me upstairs to the fire department, and he said, "You're the first black guy we ever let up here." This is in the 1980s. He said, "You're the first black guy we ever let up here." And so when that happened to me, I put that in my little Rolodex of like, I remember this. Right? Just file that for, I'll be back later. So when I graduated, I came back home, and the fire department was still all white. So I got some of my friends together, and we protested, and we integrated the fire department, and we did other things in the city. And so that was I learned so many things in doing that. I learned about how you have to pay personally when you're an activist. You have to pay personally. When you're in these small towns doing stuff, it's not like in a big city. They'll come and take your job from you. They'll come and try to blackball you. They can kind of destroy you when you're in a little small town trying to do the right thing. And I learned that, and that some of those things shape the stories I tell now. But that's what I hear in your question, that it's like find that thing that you care about. Find that thing that you want to fight for. Find those people that you love. And that's the thing about politics. It's not really about politics. It's really just loving each other. And when you love other people, you want to fight for them. That's all it is, really. I mean, that's really all politics is caring about other people. And if you care about other people, people always say, well, do you really want to be a firefighter? Man, I don't want to be a firefighter. I want other people to be a firefighter. And so find that thing and try to stay with it the best you can.
Thank you. What is one word you use in your daily life when making decisions in your career, and why?
Wow, that's a tough one. One word. Oh, man, I probably shouldn't say that word here. You guys are too nice for this. Probably remember. Memory is a really important thing. When you're telling stories, when you're writing about other people, when I'm writing about Frederick Douglass, I'm thinking about my mother, thinking about my father, I'm thinking about other people that I've met, other people I've read about in history. Memory is the thing that kind of can be so inspiring. Memory is the thing that shapes us, how we kind of believe in things in the country. Memory is the thing that shapes our culture. And so when you remember, think about the things your mother told you. Think about the things your father told you. Think about those things that the hard times they had to go through. My father, again, I told you my father was born in 1898. One time he told me he was born in Mississippi. They were down in Mississippi. This is the turn of the century in Mississippi. You can imagine how hard it was for a black person in Mississippi in 1900. He said one time they were so hungry, they ate roots out of a tree, and said we was glad to get it. And I think about that when things get hard for me, when things don't go my way, when I have disappointments, when just the ups and downs of life, right? I think about the fact that my father ate roots out of a tree and he was glad to get it. And that's one of those things that everybody in this room had someone in their family that had to go through that experience. And when you remember what they went through, whatever you're going through right now, it ain't so bad. It ain't so bad.
Thank you. What inspired the Black Klansman? What was the biggest obstacle you had to overcome while making this film?
So Black Klansman is based on a book by Ron Stallworth. Ron Stallworth was a policeman in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Great guy, still living. And he's still, in the film, you know, he's got that membership card of the Klan. He still has that card. He has it in his wallet. When you meet him, he pulls the card out and you go, wow, you know. You really did infiltrate the Klan, didn't you? And so it was a great book. And so Jordan Peele called Spike and said, I got this book. We've got a script. The script needs a lot of work. But I think it could be a really good film. Are you interested in directing it? So Spike gave me a call. What we do is I go to his office in New York, and we kind of take the book, we read the book, we break it down, kind of give our take on what the movie's going to be. Then we went and shared our take with Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele really liked what we were thinking about doing. And so the movie, you know, went forward. And the hardest thing about writing the script in a lot of ways was, you know, you try to be as loyal to the real history as you can. But there's sometimes in books that you're adapting that there's just nothing there, dramatically. So the third act of the book just didn't have much, and the third act in the movie is the last 30 minutes of the movie, which is the climax of the movie, which is a really big deal. So it just wasn't anything there. In the real life, the Klan had planned to blow up a gay nightclub in Colorado Springs. And the film, we turned it into a black student union, and we involved his, you know, Ron's girlfriend in it, and the character that Harry Belafonte plays, I brought him in as a character that kind of Spike and I talked about. We wanted to really kind of show you what the Klan does and what they believe in. So Belafonte plays the witness of a lynching from the early 1900s in Waco, Texas. So I had to make up the ending of the film because in the book there's just not much there. And so I'll spoil the movie for you if you hadn't seen it. You should have seen it by now. So the Klan guys get blown up, and so I blew the Klan guys up, and you know, so it seemed the thing to do, right? You know. You know, I grew up with blaxploitation movies, and blaxploitation movies were so great because, you know, again, small town in Kansas, here's a new black movie to go see every week. You know, it's like there was, you know, Shaft, and then Shaft's Big Score, Shaft in Africa, you know, and man, those movies, I loved those movies, right? And the thing about those movies that were so great is that we finally got to win in those movies. We finally got the girl, we finally got the money, you got to live in the end. That stuff never happened before blaxploitation movies, right? You know, we was always like the sidekick that got killed and said, yeah, but Joe was a good dude. Sorry, Joe. I got the money and the girl, see ya, right? So you know, so blowing up the guys at the end, the Klansmen at the end, seemed like the right thing to do. So.
Okay, thank you. Kevin, do you believe we will ever see a USA we had with Obama again?
Oh yeah, it's coming. You know, that's the thing about this USA CSA. It goes back and forth all the time. You know, you get some USA, you get some CSA. You get a little USA, you get a lot of CSA, you get a little CSA, you get a lot of USA. But it goes back and forth. And, you know, where I live in Kansas, Kansas used to be part of the USA. But now Kansas is part of the CSA. And Thank God for California. You know, we owe y'all a lot. Because without y'all, the whole country would be like CSA. I mean, it's up in New York and California, the rest would be CSA. In Chicago, right? But yeah, I don't feel bad about the CSA, because the CSA, we have to get together. We got to organize. We got to believe in ourselves. We got to work together. If we work together, we can defeat the CSA that we're living in right now. That's the thing that is kind of the hardest to kind of hold on to in these kind of times, because the CSA wears you down. And the whole point of the CSA is to wear you down. It's to make you not believe that you can overcome this thing. That's a huge part of the CSA. And so, yeah, we'll win again. But, you know, the thing about it is that it's not enough to just win. And I think this is this thing that's going on in the country right now. I think it's like we're deciding almost if we're going to go we're going to take it to another level now. And it's not enough just to survive. We want to take it to another level. So I hope we don't just survive this. I hope we take it to another level.
Yes. Thank you for that answer. This is mainly aimed at your academic career, but can be opened up to your life. How do you find the motivation to keep going, learning during in a system made to make you feel like you don't belong?
Well, you know, the best thing about growing up in Kansas, the whole thing made me not feel like I didn't belong. And you know, I tell stories, so forgive me. But so when I was a kid, I remember when Dr. King was assassinated. I was in 4th grade, and you're playing Army men on the floor, and in your living room, flash comes on, the news bulletin, Dr. King has been assassinated. My mother starts screaming and hollering. She goes on the front porch. She's screaming, hollering. My father has to go out there. My big brother trying to calm her down. My mother's totally out of control. And after we got my mother inside the house and calmed her down, I turned to my brother and said, "Who's Dr. King?" And so I went to school the next day, and I was always a current events guy. "Yes, Kevin, Hurricane Camille happened." "Oh, thank you, Kevin. Thank you for sharing that." I was always that dude, you know. Always knew what was happening in the news. So I go back to school the next day, raise my hand. "Yes, Kevin. Dr. King was assassinated last night." And the teacher said, "We won't be talking about that." And what do you think happens to a kid in 4th grade when a teacher tells them, "We won't be talking about that"? That's all you want to talk about. I ain't stopped talking about it since. And so that's when I got into my black bag. That's when I really kind of learned I was black. And I discovered Ebony magazine and Jet magazine. And they were in the barbershop, you know, but I didn't really look at them as a kid. But then I discovered them, and I took those magazines to school, and I showed my teacher. She said, "Everybody in here is black." I said, "Yes, beautiful, isn't it?" And so I had to end up teaching my teachers about being black. I mean, I'm telling you the truth. And I know there's some of y'all had to do the same thing. And I know some of you black students now have to teach your white friends what it means to be black, right? They have all the dumb questions, right? How about your hair, this or that, da-da-da. Can I touch it, right? And the tough thing that place it puts you in is that you have to decide if you're going to be a teacher or not. And I know you get tired of being a teacher, but if we're going to get back to the USA, you got to be a teacher a little bit. You know, it ain't right. It ain't fair. You shouldn't have to do it. But it's part of this multiracial society thing we're trying to build. And when you teach, the white kids I taught when I was in college, those people now, they on Facebook, they said, man, the classes you held when we were in college, the stuff you broke down to me when we were in college, they are better people now because we had those discussions. And let me tell you, I break it down to my white friends. I don't sugarcoat nothing. And if my white friends can't deal with it, they're not my white friend. So if you can't tell them the deal, they don't really deserve it. So when you find out they don't want to know, then don't talk to them anymore. Go talk to the white dude that really wants to know. Go talk to the white girl that really wants to know. And tell them the deal, explain it to them. They want to know. And this may be the only time in American life that they ever ask the question, and you're the only one that will probably ever get to tell them. So this is a very narrow opportunity to reach someone that's has a total different experience than you have. And if you don't take it, they may never find out. This is the difference between them ended up supporting the CSA or the USA. That's what my white friends tell me. They say, man, you convinced me. I'm an American now. And see, you got to understand, they don't even know what you're talking about. And they may not even know what you're talking about now. But they may know what you're talking about 20 years from now, when life kicks them in the behind. And they start to experience what life is like, like we all experience what life is like. Life is hard. And these lessons can last a lifetime. So don't take them lightly. You have the opportunity to change minds. Take it if you can.
Thank you. All right. Someone wrote a little message, but I'm going to just read it, and you'll find the questions in there. This is not a question. I just wanted to say we did it. And then also it says, what is the name of your next movie, and when is it coming out on Netflix? And then another one of their following questions is, how would you handle a school that tells you how black little girls should act?
Well, black little girls should act like black little girls want to act. You know? I mean, that you know, that's the whole thing we've been talking about tonight, really is about you discovering your thing and you telling your story and you finding your voice. And your voice is going to be different than even your black friend next to you. Everybody's voice is a little bit different. We share a lot of things in common, and there's a lot of things we don't share. But the main thing that we all, I think, have in common is knowing yourself and believing in yourself and not letting someone change you from that. You know, that's the hard thing about American life, because American life deals with money. Money is a big part of American life, right? That's why a lot of young black men get killed, because of money. And so you've got to kind of take this thing that we're talking about, this thing about believing in yourself, and you can't let money get in the way. You know, if I was just trying to make money, I wouldn't have been a screenwriter and a filmmaker, because there were years and years and years where I didn't make any money. So the thing that I did, though, I knew I was good at it. I knew that I had something to say with it. And it wasn't just my own self-belief. I listened to other people that read my work and said, you're really good at what you do. And that's the thing. It's not about ego. It has nothing to do with ego. It has to do with professionalism. It has to do with finding this thing that you want to do, working really hard at it, staying with it, not letting anyone deter you from it, building a community of people around you that can support you with it, helping them, you helping them helping you. And then somehow, if you don't give up, you're gonna get your day. I mean, I would watch the Academy Awards with my mother as a kid, and I never thought about this ever happening to me. And it didn't matter if it ever happened, because all I wanted to do was just make movies and tell my story. And it's a beautiful thing that it happened, but it doesn't really even matter, really. Because only thing that matters is that you find that thing that's inside of you. And everybody's got this thing inside of you. And the worst thing about American life is all the folks that we all have known that had that thing and never got a chance to use it. Right? You guys got family members that you can probably, you know about, that have that thing and they didn't get to use it. So don't be that person. Don't let, if you can, encourage that person next to you that has that thing they're trying to do. Encourage them to stay with it. Determination is 100% of it.
Okay, thank you. What inspires you most?
Well, you know, I think history probably is my thing. I think history is the thing that defines us probably more than anything. I always loved history as a kid. We're living in a really historic time right now. You know, the country is deciding if it wants to be Matt Dillon or Bob Dylan. And no one knows how the outcome's going to be. You know, I'm sure in a few years there'll be movies that are going to be made that are going to be talking about this time right now. And so you guys, the students here, should be kind of remembering and experiencing and totally letting these things affect you that are happening right now, because they're historical. And you should know how you feel about these things, and you should be talking amongst yourself about these things, because it is history, and because we all are experiencing it in this crazy, crazy new way that this thing is shaping. You know, you got to find how you feel about all this, and it's really hard because it's depressing. It can make you want to give up. When I look at those kids in those cages on the border, I mean, that's slavery. That's CSA. And so that's happening in your name right now. That's happening with your tax dollars. We are all supporting that kind of evil right now. And we can't forget that. So we have to try to find a way to embrace it, to remember it, to let it affect us, and at the same time keep moving forward yourself. And so I watch the news every day, even when it pisses me off. I don't turn away from the negative. I embrace the negative. I embrace our trauma. The more you understand about our trauma, the more you understand about yourself and about your people and America. My new movie is a movie called The 24th. It's about the 24th Infantry Division. It was the Buffalo Soldiers that was sent to Houston, Texas in 1917. And I was looking at a history book one time, and there's this picture, there's 63 black soldiers all in this room together, and there's white soldiers with weapons standing around these 63 black soldiers, and the caption below said, "The largest murder trial in American history." And it's like, what? So I looked into the story, and they sent 700 black soldiers to Houston, Texas in 1917, and the police there were just horrible, horrible. They just abused them horribly. And so these soldiers couldn't take it anymore, and 150 black soldiers marched on Houston, Texas, and went after the police. And they killed 13 people. And then they put 64 black soldiers, Buffalo soldiers, on trial together. And that's the largest murder trial in American history. How many of y'all know that story? two people. The largest murder trial in American history, and none of us even know this story. So that's our history. That's our history. And so knowing that story, knowing these stories, and there's thousands, every day I get a letter from someone about one of these incidents. And there have been thousands and thousands and thousands of these incidents all over the country. You know, you guys in the Monterey area here, in the Seaside area, you guys have an amazing, beautiful history. We were talking about it earlier. And there's thousands of stories that could just be told from your community. And that's the thing that makes American life so important and so interesting. And so I'm trying to tell as many of these stories as I can, because the more we know what happened in the past, the more we know what's happening today.
Thank you. This will be our last question of the night. Do you ever feel overwhelmed while writing such emotional stuff?
Well, you know, I don't feel overwhelmed. There's sometimes when you write something and you cry a little bit. I'm not going to lie about it. And usually that's the stuff that doesn't work. It's crazy. But I think that most writers try to write what they feel. You know, my movie CSA is a history that we feel. Obviously, the South didn't win the Civil War, but they really did win the Civil War. And I think all of us has felt that in so many different ways. And so you're always trying to tell a story about the thing that we feel. That's not necessarily the thing that's happened, not necessarily the thing that's true, not necessarily the thing that occurred, but the thing that we all feel. And the closer we get to that thing that we feel, the more truth there is to it. There are truths that are kind of deeper and more important than even facts. And when you deal in storytelling, that makes sense. And the stories that have stayed with us, that those movies that you will watch over and over again, that kind of you just love. You know how you can turn a movie on sometime and it's like comfort food? It's like this thing that can kind of keep you going when things get a little down. Those movies, for whatever reason that movie's speaking to you, that's something about that movie that makes you feel a certain thing. And so that's the thing that most writers, and certainly myself, that's the thing that we're all trying to do. That's the thing that we're all trying to achieve, is to tell a story that makes you feel something that you hadn't really felt in this way before, to help you see something that you didn't get to experience in your life like that. But all of those things, even though you didn't experience it yourself, there's part of all of us that want to understand it and want to feel it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all for participating in the question and answer session. This now concludes our program. Thank you all for attending the All Black Gala 2020. Special thanks to everyone involved in making this gala a beautiful event honoring Black culture here at CSU Monterey Bay. A special thanks to Alamara Trero, Michelle Zernecki, Stephen Goings, Juan Guzman, Shanika Jones, and Vivian Waldrop Patterson. Darshell Burnett and Antonio Robinson for all the work you all have done to make this possible. It has been my pleasure to be your MC this year alongside Brian Corpening. I encourage you all to attend the meet and greet with Kevin Wilmont and mingle with your fellow community. Thank you all for coming. Also, tomorrow is the master class with Kevin himself from 12 to 2 in the College of Arts Auditorium, and it is also in the program. You can find this information in the program. Thank you and have a great night.
Give me